down there. Go here so we can see that when we get to it.
So we've got two other bolts on the bottom. We're just going to slide these up top right here. Actually, we're not. Right. So this is going to get your top radiator support out of the way. Obviously, the catch cable is still, the release cable is still on there, so don't tug on it too terribly hard. Install the provided gasket. 2 set air scoop. So in the kit here comes with an air scoop. And we did notice earlier that there is kind of a, on this, there's kind of a flat side and just a little bit of a roundy side. Probably makes zero difference. But what we're going to do is we're going to mount the flat side to this and the roundy side to the other side, because the other side is just a little bit more round. I'm going to install this in here first because it's going to be easier to do that. This uses cap screws with the Allen.
Oh my.
A little bit of wind today as we're dealing with a hurricane still.
I guess right. 5.5 millimeter.
You'll see that there's 2 screws on here. This is if you want to install a rain splash guard, because where this sits down inside of here, if you look under here, you can see the ram air opening. They make a splash guard that comes down, so if water pushes in, it won't go directly in. We're in North Carolina, so it's not that bad. Take your 2 push clips. One. And 2. Boom. Ram air is on. Very good. Reinstall radiator support and re-secure. So we're just going to go reverse rotation on this. We won't bore you with a bunch of footage on that. You know how it came off. 2 screws here, 2 screws here, 2 screws down here. As soon as we're done with that, we'll be right back at you. So next we're going to be dealing with going back to the original air box, and you're going to see where we got to take the grommets out, crush spacers out, and those are going to go on the engine air box. We're also going to come in here, we're going to be removing the 90-degree elbow on there, pulling that out, and then we're going to be installing the grommets, etc., down into the new intake. So first thing we're going to do is come over here to the old intake. And we're going to grab some pliers. This is the 90-degree elbow that they're saying to take out. All it is just a little spring clip, obviously, right? So take that off. Let's take it all the way off. It'll be easier. And just take and rotate this around. Be careful because it is plastic. So just kind of pulling as you're rotating to get that out. Like so. So there's a 90-degree elbow off of there. Alright, then we're going to go to our other bits and pieces. These are the grommets that we're going to pull out. They are 2.5 millimeter, not 3 millimeters, so 2.5 millimeters. Put those in there. So our next step, that was 24, we're going to go to step 25. So we've got the 3-inch hump hose, they call it, with clamps. It says put those on the intake plenum, which is this. This is our hump hose. These appear to be the same size. I don't know if they are or not. However, we're going to put it so you can read engine, just because it looks cool. So that's on there. It says install air filter onto intake plenum. All right. Filter's on, clamped in place. So next is telling us to install the grommet in the hole in the top of our air box. Then put the filter minder in there. Then we're going to come in. We'll put this in and put all this together and prepare for that. So on this, we had 2 of these grommets. So we're going to put the second of the 2 in. Again, going to the bottom, checking to make sure that we're seated properly. This is your filter minder. It basically has a hose that connects to the bottom of this, right? And then it connects to the air cleaner itself. So it just kind of sits in there. So this says to connect that after. I figure it's easier to connect it beforehand. That's just me. I am OCD, so you want to make sure that that's straight when you push it in place. You can always twist it a little bit if you want to. But there's this little piece here, and we're going to go over. We're going to connect it up, bring this forward. You got your air cleaner here. Notice there's that little fitting on the top of it. You're going to slide this down over top. So one end is here, the other end is here. And basically this is just going to let you know when that air cleaner needs to be replaced. You've got
cleaned
4 washers, 4 screws. All right. So the washers are going to go rubber side down.
Screws have to be pushed through it pretty hard.
Pretty hard, because they are
Tight
as can be. Okay, the screws are in, and our next step is to take the factory grommets that we pulled out with the little sleeves that we pulled out. These little guys are going to go in here, so I'm going to put this on the ground so we can get into it a little easier. So you can see they go inside of here. One there. One there. We've got one on the very bottom down here. And then I just want to come in here and make sure that they're seated properly. We don't have any rubber hanging out, and they are. So we're good to go. So our next step is to put it in place. Make sure to put your hose clamp back on. I'm going to orient these both the same way because it's the easier way to do it. Work it up like so. Go ahead and at this time, if you want to turn your bump thing here, however you want to turn it, this is a good time to do that because you're getting ready to tighten her down. You want to push that all the way up in. Okay. Then we're going to go ahead and tighten that top clap first. The ratchet will cooperate. And the reason why you'll see in just a second is you can see how our hose is covering up our area here, so when we pull that back in place, you're not going to pull that up loose. Just make sure your grommet's back in place properly. We're not going to tighten all this down yet.
And then the elbow's right over there.
There we go. Okay, so this is in place. It's all sitting in there. Now you're going to take your 3 10mm bolts that you took out in step 7, according to the directions. And we're going to put these bad boys in place here. I always start bolts by hand, just because I don't want to cross thread something. It's easier to feel it by hand than it is to have it torqued down with a wrench or something. I'm not going to tighten these all the way just yet. We just want to get everything started. Then comes Mr. Fun down here in the very bottom. And get him started. We're having a good day. He has started. So let's go ahead and tighten him up because the others are already snugged anyway. This would be much easier with a longer extension. I don't have one currently with me, so we're going to make do with what we got for the time being. Alright, 1, 2, so it says those attachment with the screws, secure and tighten the screws. Adjust the hump hose, secure and tighten clamps with 8mm nut driver. We've already done that, so we're going to move on to step 37. Check this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're done. Actually 3, because that's not even a step. Secure and tighten all screws using 10mm socket or wrench. Now, something that they didn't give us to do was we can see 2 steps here. One, our 90-degree elbow needs to be plugged up, right? So let's go ahead and plug that. Let's get the pliers. We're going to take our squeezy clamp. We're going to bring that up into place right where it was in the factory. And 2, our mass airflow sensor needs to be plugged on as well. Not a fan of this little guy here, but it is made into the harness, so I'm not going to cut that out. Normally I'd cut that out. It just looks a little, I don't know, chintzy. But we're going to leave it. Alright, so those are in there.
Looks like that's it, except for putting the bumper back on.
Boom, boom, boom. So that's it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put the bumper back on,
Reconnect the
install
battery.
it, reconnect the battery, and we're going to fire it up and let you guys check it out. In case you're wondering, that's a 2016 Chevy SS. LS3.